Hi guys, welcome to Keeping It Real. I'm Ryan, and today we're doing things a little bit different in that I have a different style intro I want to get into because I'm going to be getting into some spoilers with this particular review, and I have a little bit more of a disclaimer to put forth for you, and I'll explain a little bit afterwards. So, in the meantime, roll the disclaimer.
Make you pass this moment and get mad at me for talking about something that you haven't seen. If I get dumb, spoilers ahead.
Okay, so has anybody ever said something so profoundly stupid to you that you thought to yourself, I have to do this whole elaborate thing, like write a song about it just to like tell them that they're being stupid? You know who you are. You know who you are, because I know you're watching my reviews. So, you know what? Roll it again. Just roll again. Go.
Make you pass this moment and get mad at me for talking about something that you haven't seen. If I get dumb, spoilers ahead.
Why do I have to do that? Why do I have to play that for you? Was the old thing not good enough? The spoilers ahead thing, when you click on a movie review, okay. I'm over it. I'm probably not over it. Today, I'm going to be talking about a spoiler breakdown of the movie Promising Young Woman, which is one of my favorite movies that I have seen recently. This movie is spectacular, and I'm only going to do this once because this is a new thing. If you didn't get the message by my spoilers ahead thing, just know that I do have a spoiler-free review of this same movie. So if you haven't seen the movie or don't want things ruined for you, you can still give me a view and like my video or support my channel, whatever the case may be. That'd be great. Thank you. You can go watch that. So I did release a spoiler-free review of this movie. There are a lot of twists and turns. Do I have to do it again? I'm gonna do it again. Roll.
Make you pass this moment and get mad at me for talking about something that you haven't seen. If I get dumb, spoilers ahead.
Okay. Moving on. Promising Young Woman is absolutely incredible, and I've already talked about who directed it, who it's starring, although I will point out that in my spoiler-free review, I did not really get into the fact that Bo Burnham is in this movie.
Cassandra? We were in class together. You would have been a great doctor.
Now, he plays a character that by the end of the film, you hate. You're supposed to hate him. You're supposed to hate him. Okay, guys? Don't hate Bo Burnham. That's like the people that hated Negan when he came on The Walking Dead and killed two of the main characters off.
Pissing our pants yet? Boy, do I have a feeling we're getting close. Gonna be pee-pee pants city here real soon.
Like, first of all, it's a TV show and he's an actor. Like, you're an asshole. Like, he's playing a villain. Okay, so same thing with Bo Burnham. Don't hate Bo Burnham. He's a great actor. He did a great job of reeling you in and then making you fucking hate him. Ooh. He did a great job. He won't get an Oscar nomination. Why will he not get an Oscar nomination? Because it puts a character like his on a pedestal in a way, and they can't do that. They're not going to do that. They're not going to give him award after award for this movie the way he deserves it, because it would mean that they're giving that award to him playing a character who society does not accept right now. Not at all.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
Nobody comes out of this movie looking very good, as a matter of fact, by the end of it. Even our main character, Cassandra, doesn't really come out looking great. All of her motivations for the things that she does are very justified. We understand by the end of the film why she feels the way that she feels, why she was doing the things that she was doing, but that also doesn't excuse some of the things, especially as we get towards the end of the film where she resorts to actual physical violence. Obviously, I'm not condoning that. I'm also not trying to make a statement about assault and things like that. I'm just talking about this movie, guys. So just like, I'm just talking about the movie. So.
Stop yelling at me! Order!
One of my, in fact, I think my favorite scene in the whole movie is where Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who's McLovin, is the scene with him. There's a lot of bit parts throughout the course of this movie, and Christopher Mintz-Plasse's performance is good, but also it's just the scene itself. Because what ends up happening in this scene, the reason it's my favorite scene in the film, is because it really, really blurs the lines of what is going on here. As an example, the point that I'm trying to make here is the movie shows in that scene that his character, the McLovin's character, is doing cocaine. So he's intoxicated and she is not. Now, he thinks she's intoxicated. I'm not arguing right or wrong in this scene. He still goes over the line. He touches her. I get it.
Stop yelling at me!
Over the line. I'm not excusing his behavior. But what I am saying is that the movie did a good job of blurring that line and showing that it's not always as simple as somebody just... So, Christopher Mintz-Plasse's character is deplorable, but the scene is fantastic. And it builds the tension because we already know that she's sober by this point. This isn't the intro. It's like the second person, I think, that she encounters, or third, maybe.
You are so pretty. I am a nice guy.
Are you?
So we already know the gag. We already know what's going on, which just builds the tension as the McLovin character is just going on, and he's trying to get laid, and it's pretty obvious that that's what's happening, and obviously he takes it too far, which is the moment that the audience pulls back and goes, oh, that's it. And right when you do that is also when Cassandra, the main character, flips the switch as well.
You seem nervous.
So then it gets really interesting as she confronts him, and we get our first glimpse into how she is approaching these people once she does end up back at their houses, for instance, because you're led to believe, is she killing these people? What is she? Is she physically hurting them? Not always, apparently. What she does to them seems to vary. As the movie goes on, she gradually breaks bad in a sense and gets like more intense and more violent and more destructive with her behavior.
Now, say my name.
So she's the anti-hero of this film, but that scene in particular is just, it really resonates because it, unfortunately, like most of this movie, feels very real. And when something like that feels so real, it has an impact, because it's not necessarily that you'll watch this and feel guilty or something, unless you're guilty of some shit, in which case, yeah, you're not going to enjoy this movie, but fuck you, you know? Like,
oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked.
Anyways, as long as you're not guilty of something, you're gonna enjoy this film because it's going to be very intense. You may know somebody who is affected by something like this, that, the other. So there's a lot of emotions that can go flying around with this movie, but that's what makes it really good. It sparks a conversation. It makes it so that this movie can be watched and can be recommended without it being a guilt trip. Again, unless you're guilty of some shit, in which case, fuck you anyways. But the point is that the way this movie plays out, it doesn't play out like the movie 12 Years a Slave.
So, like, you could watch 12 Years as a Slave with your black friends. If you're a white guy, you can. You know? I wouldn't, but you can. But when it's over, don't do this, okay? Because this is what I did. And this is why we got into a fight. All right, here's what happened. When you watch 12 Years a Slave with your black friends, here's what not to do. What I did was I looked at all my black friends and I was like, hey, guys, great movie.
This movie is not difficult to watch. This movie is almost fun to watch. Almost. The reason I say it's almost fun and not just like it's fun to watch is because there are so many dark moments that just can't be ignored. It's not always like, yay! But at the same time, this movie does not make you feel like shit when you walk away. By the end of it, at least I didn't feel like shit. I wanted to recommend this movie to everybody. I was thinking to myself, like, every person who's going into college at least, or I think even earlier, but that's my personal opinion, and I'm not trying to get into a debate about how we discuss age in this fucking country, but it does bring up an interesting point, though. I think this film brings up an interesting point about the way that we rate movies. Because I don't think this movie should be rated R. Now, hold your jets. I fucking get it. They drop F-bombs, the content, there's violence, they talk about sexual assault. Ryan, how could you ever say that this movie shouldn't be rated R? Because you're limiting your audience. That's why. Because young people should be able to see this movie too. What? You're allowed to go see all the violence and head chopping and bullshit and it's rated PG-13. If you don't believe me, just think of the third Lord of the Rings movie for a second. The third Lord of the Rings film, not even the extended version, just think the theatrical cut even, if you can separate the two in your brain. What the fuck? Like, remember that? Like, the way we rate movies in this country is fucking stupid, okay? It's fucking stupid, because the reality is that this movie should be seen by anyone over the age of 13. It should be a PG-13. It should be. But it's not. I understand why it's not. Like, don't get into a fucking fight with me over it, because, like,
Stop yelling at me! Order!
This movie should have been PG-13 to broaden the audience so that it was more socially acceptable for younger people to see this film, because they kind of need to see this film. I think it serves as a warning to both male and female. This movie's not made for a specific audience. It's made for everybody. Mature content, yes, absolutely. But kids are learning about this kind of stuff at the age of 13, so it should have been a fucking PG-13 movie. But again, I understand. So, the way we rate movies in this country is stupid.
You remember what happened, right? Why I dropped out. I'm not the only one who didn't believe it. We get accusations like this all the time.
Despite the fact that this film does have a hard R rating, it is at times enjoyable to watch. There are some very funny scenes. I'm thinking of the scene, for instance, in the pharmacy with Bo Burnham before we learn of his horribleness. But he's quite funny. He reels you in this film. He's quite enjoyable as a character up until that moment.
Make you pass this moment and get mad at me for talking about something that you haven't seen. You're fucking dumb. Spoilers ahead.
It's a spoiler review. When she's watching the phone, you know that moment when she's looking at the phone and you can't see what's going on, but you know what's going on. Sometimes what's happening up here is far scarier. They did a good job with this movie. Up until that point, Bo Burnham's character is very funny, very likable, very snap, witty, and so many other characters are kind of like that too. This is a very strange movie to review, but that's why I wanted to review it. I love it. I love this movie. I love that I feel every feeling all the way up and down the spectrum, from laughing to crying to I literally jumped out of my seat at one point watching it by myself at home. I jumped up and I'm not going to do it because I'd come out of frame, but like I jumped up and was like, get out of here! What? what? There were like 3 moments at least that did that to me, and other moments where I was still shocked, but maybe not to like the extent that I just conveyed. But nonetheless, shocking moments every few minutes of this film. Every few minutes. The tone of this movie goes... I love the tone of this movie. There are people that will say that this movie is tonally inconsistent because it's all over the place. You're laughing, you're crying, you're shocked, you're like, it's a roller coaster of a film. But that's fucking awesome. It's a great ride. There are a couple movies that I've talked about on my channel that like hit you in all the feels. Gosh, I wish, like, in a way that I had seen this movie before I said that about other films. Like, this movie hits you in all the feels. All of them. It hits every emotion. I can't think of one of it, like sadness, happiness, like everything in between. Angry, joyful, proud. You feel all of those emotions at one point or another throughout this film. That's impressive.
Thank you. You love me. You really love me.
That's very impressive to be able to pull off for a movie. Often that doesn't work. Often it comes off cheap. It's kind of like using a jump scare in a horror movie. It comes off cheap. But when done correctly, the right jump scare in a film can really get you, you know? It can really get you.
Hey, wanna play hide and clap?
Like when it's done right. Well, this movie does it right over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like, I've never seen a movie do that before so successfully. Twist and turn every damn moment of this film. Alfred Molina's character, I gotta talk about him for a second. That was a hard turn, but like, I have to talk about Alfred Molina's character for just a moment. He's the guy that played the lawyer that she visits.
No use hiding from the piper. He has to be paid.
I guess so.
I don't know about you, but when I watched this movie for the first time and she knocked on his door and he answered, when he responds with,
I've been waiting. Come in.
Did that not shock you? Every moment of that scene with him in it progressively got more and more
I remember her. Nina? Was that it?
because as it progresses, we learn that he can't sleep. He feels incredibly guilty for what he has done. He is very aware. She came there to teach him a lesson, as we learn at the end of the scene, because she walks out and actually has a guy there, presumably to inflict physical harm on this lawyer character. Whoa, that was another, like, wow, she was ready? That's another twist that I was like, oh man. I'm thinking she's got like a taser or something in her purse, or maybe something to beat him with a tire iron or whatever. I didn't know. I didn't know. I was thoroughly shocked and surprised by almost every little twist and turn in this film, because every time I thought it was going to go one way, it went a different way. That's cool. That's really impressive that a film can pull that off. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the ending of this movie. because there's some point of contention with the end of this movie. There are some I've heard that are satisfied with it, and some I've heard that are not satisfied with the ending of this movie. Why would somebody not be satisfied with the ending? Because I've heard the argument that, well, only the one guy who smothered her got arrested. There's a fair argument to be said that not all of the characters got what was coming to them. It would seem, it would seem as though a couple of these characters got away scot-free, and that is not my impression of the ending of this film. I want to draw your attention to the fact that not only did she send the note to the lawyer alerting him of, if in the event of my disappearance, this is where I went, which does lead the police to the body and immediately arresting Al Monroe, but she also sent him that phone. Implication being that it would be clear from that video, allegedly, that there is sexual assault happening on it. And so, although they immediately made the arrest for the murder, it is implied that there are more repercussions to come. And that more people are going to go down for this, ultimately. The one character, the guy from New Girl, he, runs away. They're going to catch him. They're going to get him. That's the implication, is that all of these guys are complicit in some way or another, and although they had it, for that one guy, the implication is that everyone is going to go down for this. And the scheduled text messages that Bo Burnham gets are a taunt to him that, have fun sleeping, thinking about when this is going to blow up in your fucking face, boy. And that's that's how I took it, and that's how I think you should take it too. That this will blow up in the characters' faces, even though the ending of the movie doesn't give swift justice to every single person. That would make it predictable. You have to leave some up to the imagination, something up to interpretation. Like the phone thing, and you don't have to show everything to know what happened. You don't need to show Nina's suicide to know that Nina killed herself.
Honey, Nina was like a daughter to us. You know that. We really miss her. But God, we have missed you.
Whoa, but we don't need to see that. It's implied, you get that. But it's a slow build to get there, which this movie does a great job. You don't even get a confirmation that Nina is actually dead. You're suspicious throughout the film, but we don't actually get confirmation that she's dead until that guy's handcuffed to the bed. And she gives him the wrong name.
Nina Fisher.
What did you say?
I said my name is Nina Fisher.
You're not Nina Fisher.
Why not?
Because she's dead.
That's the moment that we know, and that's at the end of the movie. So even the reveal that she is in fact dead has weight to it. There's a lot, because maybe she's so traumatized that she was off at a hospital of some kind. They never really said until that moment at the end of the film. So for me, I'm watching this movie going, what's going to happen next? Anything goes. I thought she was going to kill him and stab him or carve Nina's name into his chest and shit, but no, handcuff breaks and he fucking smothers. What? But she's the anti-hero. She had to die. It was meant to be. This movie is really great. I highly recommend multiple watches of this movie because it's one of those films where you catch something new every time in a really good way. In conclusion, I already gave this movie a grade in my spoiler-free review, but obviously Promising Young Woman is a 100 out of 100. It's fucking awesome. This movie is great, and everybody should go see it, and you should have your kids see it, for fuck's sake. Like, watch this movie and then have your kids watch it. Watch it with them, whatever the case may be.
Excuse me?
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. The end.